The Primera Crónica General de España, it's a book written on the initiative of King Alfonso the Wise of Castile. It is about the history from biblical times to the reign of his father, Fernando the Saint of Castile. In the text, Queen Berenguela, Fernando's mother, is portrayed as a diligent, irreproachable woman, thanks to whom Fernando was an exceptional king. The queen's virtues, the book argues, were transmitted to her son through breastfeeding. This belief that milk conveys attitudes, character, behavior, customs, beliefs, and values was defended by broad sectors of contemporary society, including writers, clerics, and also doctors. One of the most important medieval authors is, without a shadow of a doubt, Ramon Llull. Ramon Llull's works were translated from Catalan to vernacular languages, Spanish, French, Tuscan, and also Latin. And one of his first works is Doctrina Pueril. This work is very interesting because it's provide, when you read it, you provide minimum knowledge to those people, particularly children, but also adults, who did not have the opportunity to acquire a particular a sufficient doctrinal and intellectual education. Originally composed in Catalan in Majorca sometime between 1274 and 1276, in one way or another, it reflects an emergent formulation of many of your primary interests and key ideas. In this famous book, throughout Middle Ages, Ramon Llull states that explains that a baby should have milk only from a good mother or wet nurse, because they transmit good habits to the child, while the wicked ones who transmit the vices were to be avoided at all costs. The church also promoted breastfeeding through preachers, tests, and miracles. And among miracles, there is one that is particularly important, that is lactation. A lactation consists of the Virgin Mary breastfeeding a saint, conferring her virtues and even extraordinary powers. And among lactations, the most famous one is that of Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, known in medieval Latin as Lactation Bernardi. The hagiography of Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, one of the most admired and venerated preachers throughout Middle Ages, recounts that when the Bishop of Chalon visited Citeaux, Bernard, then a young monk, was commissioned by the abbot to preach. Fearing to disappoint them, he began to pray before an image of the Virgin until he fell utterly, completely asleep. In a dream, the Virgin appeared to him and gave him the gift of eloquence by pouring milk from her own breast into his mouth. This miracle is represented in many altarpieces from the 13th century onwards in the Iberian Peninsula and Northwestern Europe, not only in Middle Ages, but also in Renaissance and until the end of the Baroque. This miracle, according to Teresa Viñoles, favored the promotion of breastfeeding. The first known scene of this miracle we can find it in, as you can see in the slide, in a primitive Gothic altarpiece. This is the altarpiece of Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, originally in Església Santa Maria del Temple. Then the Church of Saint Mary of the Templars, today conserved in the Museum of Mallorca. As you see the slide in the left side, the up the scene that here you can see in here you can see in detail. It is represented this miracle of Lactatio Bernardi, where the Cistercian monk, the wine monk, is receiving the milk from directly from the virgin, pouring milk into his mouth. And for sacralizing the miracle, you can observe, in the background, three angels, two with candles and one that is turiferari. Then it holds incense to sacralize this miracle. This miracle has and because the veneration of these famous saints are resounding success in European art. We can find also, I put two more examples here in this wonderful, this international Gothic altarpiece. This is another scene of Lactatio Bernardi in the altarpiece of San Bernard of Clairvaux, originally in Nuestra Señora de Benifazá, Castellón, Spain, and today preserved in the Museo del Prado. And finally, this is an example from Germany. This is a magnificent fresco from the 18th century that in the central scene we can is a fresco from the St. Paul's Church in Tapfen, Bayern, Germany. And in the central scene we can observe another example of this Lactation Bernardi, again, as in the precedent examples. In the background, we can see again the angel sacralizing this miracle. Reputed doctors such as Bernard de Gordon and Maino de Mainieri agreed in their Regimina Sanitatis that women, both mothers and wet nurses, should be healthy, physically fit, and of good morals. Health was necessary, so they did not transmit any disease. The two other conditions are essential and inextricably linked. If there is a good body, there will be good habits and vice versa. Gordon and Mainieri recommended breastfeeding for the first 2 years. This promotion of breastfeeding by political, moral, and scientific authorities, as opposed to goat's milk or other forms of infant feeding, led to a large part of late medieval societies to practice breastfeeding. Breastfeeding has many advantages, but also many disadvantages, such as diseases that only occur during breastfeeding. One of the most common ailments is infantile colic, a benign condition occurring in the second or the third week of life. The consequent abdominal discomfort results in a persistent, inconsolable crying. Despite its widespread occurrence, the underlying causes remain, even nowadays, elusive. Symptoms reach their peak around 6 weeks and typically resolve by the age of 12 weeks. Caregivers often perceive excessive crying as a sign of illness or an evidence of poor caretaking skills. Meteorism and aerophagia are also two common pathologies causing abdominal pain in children that only occur during breastfeeding. In mid-15th century, Antoni Casas, a Mallorcan apothecary, invented a remedy to cure severe stomach pains in infants causing uncontrolled crying. The symptoms described can be interpreted as those of infantile colic, but would also be useful against meteorism and aerophagia. The so-called confit cases is important because it is one of the few remedies used for centuries that were not included in any pharmacopoeia or antidotarium. This fact means that late medieval apothecaries were not mere receptors of the Galenic legacy, but also creators of new medicines. The confit combined knowledge from both university and folk medicine, and it was a commercial success. Many medicines were invented in late medieval ages and the Renaissance, but few were actually sold in apothecaries. The confit was a cheap, simple recipe to prepare as compared to traditional, expensive, multi-ingredient products that followed the Galenic system. Confit was sold in Mallorcan pharmacies for at least 3 centuries. In the period from 1450 to 1778, the main available primary sources for analyzing the assimilation of the confit in Majorca are post-mortem inventories. 5 inventories of apothecaries have been located in Archiu del Reino de Mallorca. According to a book from a Mallorcan apothecaries guild, de llibre d'entrada i eixides de l'art i col·legi d'apotecaris de l'any 1608 fins l'any 1619, there were 18 drugstores in city of Mallorca, Ciutat de Mallorca, the capital of the kingdom, in 1581. Thus, the number of inventories analyzed is adequate to make a study. This paper is the second in a research project about assimilation, dispensation, and treatment on simple and compound medicines from the beginning of the 15th century to the second half of the 16th century in the Kingdom of Mallorca. The first paper analyzes the role of guaiacum, an American drug not present in Western materia medica, in the context of Mallorcan early modern resection of Galen's pharmacology. Now I will address first the assimilation of confit. Then I will deal with dispensation and afterwards treatment. I conclude that apothecaries dispensed confit because the drug followed the Galenic doctrines, specifically the principle contraria contraris curantur. In addition, it was popular among patients, due to its supposed efficiency, pleasant taste, and reasonable price. Assimilation was due to 3 basic causes. First and foremost, confit did not challenge the Galenic doctrines. Second, confit was a cheap compound remedy compared to other medicines. And finally, it was effective. First and foremost, confit did not challenge the Galenic doctrines. Confit was quickly taken up and continued to be sold for centuries because followed the Galenic medicine. Its active core includes anise, fennel, caraway, and peony. Dioscorides, and I am following Andreas Laguna's edition, considered all these hot and dry components in varying degrees. The least for peony, and the most, the potent third degree for anise, fennel, and caraway. These last three, together with cumin, are called the four major hot seeds in contrast to the four major cold seeds: melon, watermelon, pumpkin, and cucumber. Dioscorides recommended peony for abdominal pain and nervous disorders, while anise, fennel, and caraway were recommended for stomach aches. Galen shared the same opinion about these simple medicines and considered them, attributes them, uh, uh, consider them hot and dry, but disagree with Dioscorides in the degrees. For example, fennel is hot in the second degree and dry in the first. According to Scuola Medica Salernitana, we see that this medical legacy from classical times continue, no, with in the case of this the active core, these four seats with the same consideration, the same uses as in Dioscorides and Galen. And according to the an aphorism from Scuola Medica Salernitana, it says in Latin, emendat visum stomachum confortat anisum. Then anise clears the sight and restores the stomach. And as we know, the anonymous, in vast majority of cases, anonymous physicians behind the Scuola Medica Salernitana. I especially recommend the studies of García Ballester about it. All this knowledge was condensed, ordered, put in order, no, in recipe books. The first one of them is the Antidotarium Nicolai, that has a resounding success throughout Middle Ages and even Renaissance. And after the second of these recipe books is Circa Instance, that was, according to the opinion of García Ballester, an adapted version of Antidotarium Nicolai. These two received books, these two antidotaries of Escuela Médica Salernitana in the different compound medicines that of the preparation of the compounded medicine that are registered. In all the cases, abdominal pain could be cured using anise and fennel. Again, two components of confit. Confit was a cheap compound remedy compared to other medicines. Another reason to the rapid acceptance of confit was its low price compared to other compound medicines that were prepared for many more simple medicines. The number of ingredients and the difficulty of preparation increased cost. The Tyriaca puerorum used 36 components. Confit, only 12. What is Tyriaca puerorum? Damià Carbó Malferit, who died in 1542, a renowned Mallorcan physician, created Tyriaca. Carbó wrote Libro del arte de las comadres, madrinas y del regimiento de las preñadas y paridas y de los niños, 1541. This is a pioneering book because it was the first on pediatrics in Spanish Renaissance. It is intended for midwives and it deals with the role of woman at childbirth and the subsequent care of newborns. Carbó live in Ciutat de Mallorca. He probably started his professional life as a surgeon. In 1515, he was in Medicina licentiatus, and in 1520, in Medicina doctor. In 1513, he was the physician in charge of Morberia, the quarantine hospital. When he died, he owned a great house, a palace, with an extensive private library of more than 100 books. He wrote the Libro del Arte de las Comadres at the end of his life, thus incorporating his years of experience as a doctor. In his book, he argues that stomach sickness is one of the most common ailments during breastfeeding, and Dactyriaca puerorum, a remedy of his invention, is the definitive cure. He was also a great publicist of his own work. However, with his 36 component, it compared unfavorably with confit. Thus, despite Carbó's undeniable professional fame, its high cost preclude Tyriaca from being sold in local apothecaries. Tyriaca and confit combat severe stomach pains in nursing infants. The Mallorcan apothecaries knew of a multitude of other medicines used for abdominal pain, but do not specify age. They knew at least 22 remedies. These are contained in the inventories and pharmacopoeias recommended by the Guild of Apothecaries of the Kingdom of Mallorca. Mallorcan pharmacies from the 15th century to the 18th century possessed copies, among other books, but especially of Antidotarium Nicolai, Circa Instans, Mesue, and Concordia Apothecariorum Parcinone in their private libraries. In some of the inventories analyses, this book are described as old and worn out, which means that they were extensively used. Mallorcan apothecaries followed the recommendations of the Florentine Pharmacopeia, nuovo recettario composto dal famosissimo Collegio degli Accemi Dottore della Arte Medicina dell'Inclita Città di Firenze, published in 1498, which recommends the following 7 basic volumes. Clavis Sanationes Siva Synonyma Medicine by Simon Januensis, the second part of Canon Medicine by Avicenna, Opus Pandectarum Medicine by Matteo Silvatico, the pharmacological chapter of Citat Altas Rif by Albucasis, Opera Medicinalia by Mesue, and Antidotarium Nicolai. At the beginning of 16th century, in 1511, Mallorcan apothecaries also added to their recommended books the Concordia Apothecariorum Parcinone, the pharmacopoeia published by the Guild of Apothecaries of the city of Barcelona, which updated Materia Medica of Antidotarium Nicolai, Circa Instans, and Mesue with new medicinal plants of American origin, such as Guayacum. The Antidotarium Nicolai recommends Electuarium Ducis, a compound medicine to combat symptoms similar to those of confit. It is later recommended in the Concordia, a Catalan pharmacopoeia with 3 editions during the 16th century, 1511, 1535, and 1587. Various editions of the Concordia were used throughout the 16th and 17th centuries in Majorca. They complemented and updated the contents of the older Antidotario Nicolai, circa instant, and Mesue, still used. Although Electuarium Ducis was included in these books, it was not prepared in the apothecary shops because its elevated price due to its 48 ingredients compared of confit. In fact, the other remedies dispensed against tummy ailment, which were not specifically for infants, are prepared with 10 to from 10 to 15 simple medicines. This is the case of a pill for a stomachache according to Mesue, which correspond to one of the 5 pills for stomachache ailments contained in the Mesue. Therefore, Mallorcan pharmacies sold only the most economical remedies that followed Arab Galenism against a stomach ailment and did not prepare, or at least are not present in their pharmacies, expensive medicines composed of a multitude of components. However, the apothecaries used the aforementioned pharmacopoeias on many other occasions, such as to prepare the nenufar syrup used to reduce fever, the preparation of which is recorded in the Antidotario Nicolai and which is stored in a pot in Battista Roland pharmacy. Pere Mora and Bernardi Clar sold Electuarium de Succo Rosarum, a medicine whose preparation is also mentioned in the aforementioned antidotarium with, among other effects, an antitussive effect. The combination of a large number of ingredients present in Electuarium Ducis and the Tyriaca puerorum is in accordance with the doctrine of Galenic medicine. This doctrine defended the idea of summation, aimed at strengthening and extending the supply of the remedy. In addition, Galenism also advocated that the medicine could simultaneously cure and restore the humoral balance as well as damage the various parts of the body. Thus, the stronger a drug was, the stronger its side effects were. The latter could be countered, it was believed, by other simple remedial medicines to the composition, resulting in drugs made up of a multitude of ingredients. Confit responded to a characteristic of Arab Galenism, which was the simplification of the preparation of compound medicines. Finally, its effectiveness. However, Damia Carbot also recommends an ointment for a stomach ache in babies, which consists of only 8 ingredients, some of which are very cheap, such as lupin flower, made of a yellow legume seed, altramuces in Spanish. However, the inventories analyzed do not include this remedy. Perhaps the preference for confit over this medicine lies in the effects of 2 simple components that are only found in confit: honey and wine. Honey is a sweetener and a preserver. It has a pleasant taste and an analgesic and calming effect. The wine also has also a sedative effect, helping children and therefore parents to sleep in the event of an abdominal pain. Carpon's ointment contained neither of the 2, honey nor wine, and therefore did not have any of these attractive characteristics for apothecary customers looking for a remedy for children tummy aches. On the other hand, Pharmacopoeia Majoricensis notes that confit is a very popular medicine since a spoonful would soon stop the pain and the consequent persistent crying. The low price of confit compared to other medicines resulted in a commercial success that is evident from the large quantities of the medicine cited in the inventories analyzed. The first mention of confident cases is in the post-mortem inventory of Pere Mora, who died in 1473, a pharmacist from Pollença, another Mallorcan town. Mora sold it on a daily basis because he stocked it in large quantities compared to other products he dispensed in his apothecary. From 15th century onwards, large quantities documented proof that the drug was a commercial success. At the end of the 15th century and the first half of the 16th century, confit was spread throughout the towns and cities of the Kingdom of Mallorca. At this time, pharmacies in the capital, Ciutat de Mallorca, modern-day Palma, began to dispense it in their pharmacies. The back stocked in the kingdom. Joan Aguiló, Batista Rullan, Bernard Diclà, Bartomeu Tutzó, apothecaries in the capital, dispense it in their apothecaries shop. Another measure of the popularity and commercial success of the concept was its place in the shop. It was always close to the counter and among the most popular and commonly used remedies. The confit was always among other commonly used medicines such as confectio of Bugos, standard diuretics. It was also close to other popular confectiones, such as that of roses, used particularly as an antitussive, as a gargle for angina. Finally, the Mallorcan medicine is found alongside simple medicines in great demand, such as locally produced pin turpentine and important fir turpentine, both of which are generally used as an analgesic and adhesive plaster for skin abrasions. The drug is not documented throughout the 17th century, although this doesn't mean that it's not mentioned in post-mortem inventories from this period. This is a part of an ongoing research. The situation changed at the beginning of the 18th century in 1701. That year, an apothecary, Joan Malià, died, leaving 2 jars full of confit in his apothecary shop, proof that the medicine was still considered efficient. The next record of the medicine dates from the end of the century. Joan Antoni Brotat i Terrés, who died in 1787, a Mallorcan pharmacist and author of the Pharmacopoeia Majoricensis, included the preparation of confit in his work. For unknown reasons, this volume was not printed, but the manuscript is preserved. Brotat belonged to a family of pharmacists documented from the beginning of the 18th century. Pere Brotat held various management positions at the Guild of Apothecaries of Mallorca from the beginning of 18th century to the 1727. Joan Antoni Brotat probably worked as an apothecary for the Dominican convent in Ciutat de Mallorca. The Pharmacopoeia was one of the regional responses to the publication of Pharmacopoeia Matritensis, with 2 editions, 1739 and 1762. The later work was an attempt of the Bourbon government to establish a single pharmacopoeia for all the Hispanic territories. The confit cases, a genuinely local medicine, was incorporated into the pharmacopoeia in order to vindicate traditional Mallorcan pharmacy. To sum up, the assimilation of confit was successful, especially because it followed the Galenic doctrine and did not challenge the interests of the Apothecaries Guild. Moreover, it was completely priced medicine that was attractive to customers. Let's talk about preparation. The preparation of confit is described in the Pharmacopoeia Majoricensis. Although the first record of the method of preparation dates from 18th century, Maria José Sampietro states that the magistral formula hardly changed Then the preparation hardly changed since its invention in the mid-15th century. Here you have in the slide the original text. The first simple medicine use is leaves of senna, that it's a simple medicine not mentioned by Dioscorides and Galen, but it's mentioned in Arab authors, for example, Mesue and Serapion. And both authors, both Arab authors, agree that it has purgative properties, but not unpleasant effects. The following four simple medicines are peonine, fennel, anise, and caraway, and the last three are the three hot and dry four major hot seeds mentioned by the Galenic legacy. It's interesting that the next simple medicine cited is seeds of peeled lemon seeds. In this case, I had find that Avicenna in Ipsina, in his famous work Alcanum, state that lemon improves digestion. After that, we have indigo of Baghdad, that is a paste made of stems and trunks of different plants, especially Indigofera tinctoria, that, according to, again, Arab authors, has a cooling effect. Finally, we find also cinnamon, that Arab authors comment that are especially proven for stomach ailments and colic, and finally cloves that are it is a hot, it is a simple medicine, hot and dry, according to Galen and Mesue. And the agglutinant is melis, honey, with red wine, that is clarified boiled. Secundum artem, according to the art of pharmacy. This very interesting text is followed, is accompanied by two texts. The first one is this that you have in the slide. It's a commentary about the preparation, and in the first line we can see that it is mentioned the authorship. It's an invention of Antonius Casas, then a Mallorcan pharmacist. And Casas thought of it so that children, especially infants, would like it. We have seen that it contains honey that is sweet, that has a pleasant taste, and also wine that has a sedative effect. In this text, it's also mentioned the preparation, the steps followed. The main two steps are, the first one, all the simple medicines except honey and red wine are all mixed and are make it a fine powder, and after kept in a jar. And when a client asks for the confit, you put honey mix with red wine over a low heat, and this is slowly cooked until it tastes the consist of sirupo, of a syrup, of a syrup. And for this preparation, it is recommended to use a wooden spatula that in all the inventories I have analyzed it, it's cited, and it says spatula for confits. Then it's specifically for this type of confectiones, these types of compound medicines. Thanks to this preparation for this preparation is ready and becomes more liquid so that children can more easily swallow it. The final text it's talks about vires at doses, quantity at dosage, and it's very interesting that it says that in the 18th, this is a text from the 18th century, it said that it's a great and very experienced and well-known remedy for nursing infants to soothe their strong stomach ailments. And it mentioned the causes. These ailments can be produced by curdled milk or come from an external cause, from pain, heat, and furibunda, then anger of the mother themselves. That, as I have mentioned in the introduction, there was this belief of good milk and bad milk. In fact, in Spanish, there is a very common expression that is tener mala leche, that Corominas and etymologists consider that this expression comes from this belief of good and bad milk. In this set, it cites that the confit cases is especially affected when babies are constantly crying. And finally, it mentioned in the last phrases the dosage that could be 1 or 2 teaspoons. Where we can find the inspiration of where Casas found the inspiration to create these compound medicines. Casas was inspired to make his confit both by existing recipes contained in the antidotaries and pharmacopoeias and by the popular medicine of the Kingdom of Mallorca. In Electuarium Ducis, as uses 5 simple medicines also used in the confit: fennel, cloves, nutmeg, honey, and wine. The Pilulae aurea of the Antidotarium Nicolai is also used against a stomach ailment contains fennel and anise. The Mesue recommends bioremedies against stomach pain using cinnamon and peony roots. In fact, the Mesue described the preparation of a syrup, which, in addition to containing honey, sugar, lemon seeds, and anise, has exactly the same preparation as the confit. In other words, a fine powder is first prepared with the simple medicines kept in ceramic jars recorded in the inventories analyzed, and then mixed with clarified boiled honey and wine. Casas was therefore inspired to create his medicines by the remedies used to combat stomach ailments contained in the pharmacopoeias and antidotaries in use by apothecaries in mid-15th century Majorca. Casas was also inspired by Mallorcan folk medicine. From late Middle Ages until the beginning of 20th century, fennel was used to combat stomach problems, stomach aches in children. The traditional preparation is simple. The fruits of the fennel are taken and made into a fine powder. These powders are mixed with honey or sugar. The amount contained in the tip of a knife is given to children 1 or 3 times a day after suckling. Folk medicine, being linked to magic, also considered fennel a protective plant. Mothers who chew fennel, according to medieval folk belief, would have fresh breath that would protect their babies from illness. Therefore, Casas was committed to a successful preparation as it was based on the principles and words of Galenic medicine, as was thus accepted by doctors and pharmacists. Moreover, by drawing up on popular medicine and beliefs, he created a medicine whose effectiveness was easily to sell because the simple medicines used, such as fennel, were considered beneficial by the population who used them for the same purposes as the confit. The inventories of the apothecaries analyzed contain everything necessary to make the confit in the pharmacy. Peromora had a ceramic jar with 800 grams of cinnamon and another with 27 grams of indigo of Baghdad. Mora also had a large pot for making confits, which he kept together with a mortar and pestle and a scale with its heights. Bernardi Clark has also the same tools for making medicines as Mora. He also had ceramic jars near the pot contained the confit and cases with the simple medicines for making it.
Pablo.
Yes.
You are running out of time.
Okay, I am finishing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Confit. Confit would be bought with or without a prescription. Despite being a less expensive medicine than others used for treating pathologies that have abdominal distension in common, it was paid for in installments. When a customer wanted to buy a medicine, the pharmacist would issue a copy of a delivery note. This document noted that he had bought the quantity, the price, and the date of purchase. Each time he paid an installment, the pharmacist gave him a copy of a receipt until the final payment. All the accounts opened by customers were recorded in a book, the apothecaries manual. The pharmacy owner's debt were also recorded there. Manuals could generally last from one to several years. Their contents were summarized in a sole book, the apothecary's ledger, allowing the entire economic activity of a pharmacy to be easily controlled. The inventories analyzed contain numerous references to deliver notebooks generally placed close to the pharmacy contents. Conclusions. Confit and cases, a medicine invented by a Mallorcan apothecary in the middle 15th century, was not contained in any of the pharmacopoeias or antidotaries in use in the Kingdom of Mallorca. The late medieval apothecaries were not merely transmitters of classical the Galenic medicine, the Galenic legacy, but also creators of new remedies. The success of the confit, which last for at least 3 centuries, is basically due to the fact that it followed the principles of Galenic medicine. Moreover, its effectiveness was easily understood by the entire population, as it was also inspired by folk medicine. And finally, the confit and cases was contextualized in a context of on a period of promotion of breastfeeding. The confit and cases was one of the remedies specific to a European region in the custom of the creation of new medicines, as pilules of Nicolas Perron of City of Metz, which were assimilated and dispensed in local pharmacies, even though they were not part in the materia medica. Thank you very much for listening me.